As you can see, I'm in the unfinished garage, so this is going to be a short episode of the Definitive Mac Pro Upgrade Guide, Debug. I'm going to talk about GPUs, specifically the Navi 21 chipset Radeon GPUs made by AMD and their compatibility as it pertains to the classic Mac Pros and the 2019 Mac Pros. It should be no surprise that in 11.4, Apple introduced GPU support for the AMD Big Navi or Navi 21 GPUs. This did not include the Navi 22, which is the 6700 and 6700 XT series GPUs. Those are not supported under macOS. macOS ships the drivers as part of the OS, so unfortunately, if you're running an older OS, you have to upgrade. This was the big hang-up for the classic Mac Pros, as the classic Mac Pros had a huge problem when it came to 11.3, as there was a race condition. The race condition introduced a bug that would happen at boot frequently and sometimes corrupt your boot drive. This was bad, as you can imagine. So what happened is the community rallied. Mostly one developer by the name of Syncretic introduced Late Bloom, a band-aid fix, and later a full-blown patch as known as Surplus. Get it? Surplus. Anyhow, puns aside, Surplus was the savior for the classic Mac Pros, enabling them to boot the latest and greatest, including Monterey. So now we're at a point where you could potentially use these latest GPUs in your classic Mac Pro, right? Well, it's not that easy. Unfortunately, these GPUs are not supported by the classic Mac Pros. In fact, if you stick one in, you can't even boot. You can't get to Linux, you can't get to Windows, and you certainly can't get to Mac OS. This all is because of the EFI ROM on the card. And I'm just going to straight read the research done by the guy who discovered this, Pietre Krohn, because I think it's very interesting. So let me just read the direct post, and I'll put it on screen as I do it. Petri, please correct me if I said your name wrong. I downloaded this VBIOS file from Tech PowerUp. It is for the reference design RX 6800. I opened it up in HexFind. It contains two EFI sections, both labeled GOP AMD Rev blah 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 numbers. Those aren't very important. I then opened up the VBIOS file in Hopper Disassembler 4 and searched for XMM and YMM. There are multiple instances of AVX calls in both the EFI sections. The legacy BIOS section only contains references to the 128-bit XMM registers, so it should execute in older processors with the SSSE instruction set. Now, to translate that back to English, this is because the EFI ROM contains AVX instructions. These are CPU instructions that are not found on the classic Mac Pro CPUs, which is a problem. So that causes the computer not to even be able to boot, as it's asking the CPU to do things it doesn't know how to do. Now, the interesting part is the second part, as the legacy ROM that's used for BIOS, for older PCs that do not use EFI, is that it does not contain these CPU instruction sets. This is promising. The reason why this is it means that if you were to hack the GPU's ROM, perhaps maybe, and this is a big maybe, you could get it to boot and then be able to load the drivers under Mac OS. And then you'd be able to use the GPU. So that requires some ROM hacking, and we've seen pretty extensive ROM hacks in the past in the form of MacVid cards. That dude was able to hack in EFI support to the GPUs and make them able to work under macOS and display the boot screens. Now, would this happen with these cards? I don't know. These are very expensive cards to throw in such old computers. The Mac Pro 2010 was released in 2010, and that's almost 12 years ago as of recording this. So maybe when you're watching this, this has changed, but I'm going to guess probably not. But just maybe we'll see someone hack in a ROM support for macOS, either in the form of removing the EFI ROM and forcing it to use the BIOS, or splicing them together. So there is hope for us. Now to the 2019 Mac Pros and these same GPUs. And this also does pertain to the Classic Mac Pro. The 2019 Mac Pro can support a GPU that's up to 30 centimeters long, or 30.5 centimeters to be exact. Unfortunately, some of the AMD GPUs get really long with their aftermarket coolers. The reference designs of these GPUs will fit in the 2019 Mac Pro, but some of the others won't. I'm going to link a blog post about a guy who discovered this the hard way and his inevitable resolution of getting the right GPU for his Mac Pro. It worked out for him, but this is where I got the information, and I found that very interesting. 30.5 centimeters into Dum Dum Imperial is about 12 inches on the nose. That's all the longer of a GPU you can stick into your 2019 Mac Pro. I don't have a Classic Mac Pro on me right now to measure, but you should be able to do that with a tape measure and figure out how long, if in the inevitable future you encounter a GPU that might not fit into your Classic Mac Pro, because you're living in a better timeline and in a better world where you can use these GPUs in your Classic Mac Pro, and it's not totally insane to pay the money to get one to stick into your Classic Mac Pro. I want to be on your timeline if you're out there. If you're looking for GPU advice for your Classic Mac Pros, I have an entire episode just on GPU upgrading for the Classic Mac Pros and the best GPUs you can get for it. You can find a link to that in the description of this video. And this seems like as good a place as any to wrap up this video, and I will edit it while I consume this wonderful beer from Fremont. Thanks for watching.